Transport Minister Ian Borge blames climate change for intense flooding across Malta. Kaale turned into a makeshift lake after yesterday's flooding, and Joseph Kaale says it's time to reclaim liberties while in a packed Paris airport. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo. Welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. Johnathan, Cilia here, joined today by Baldacchino. It is Friday. I do hope you've got some great plans for the weekend. But before we get into the Saturday and the Sunday, let's talk about today. We've had some interesting comments and developments. Matt's here with details on the first story. Matt?
Absolutely. So, first story today, Ian Borge has blamed climate change for intense flooding. I'm sure you're all aware of the last few days. Malta and Gozo were faced with intense floods. Lots of damage, people trapped in their cars and in the streets across the islands. He was speaking to journalists at an opening in Kaale and said that climate change is essentially responsible for the intense flooding we've had over the last few days. John, what do you think on this, given the situation?
Yeah, no, so obviously, the Transport Minister was speaking while he was actually in Kaale, and we're going to get to Kaale very, very soon, during an opening in Kaale following a 2.3 million refurbishment program.
Yeah.
And journalists, asked him, are you going to compensate? Is the government going to compensate the families that had damaged cars, damaged homes during the flooding? And, he was very clear. He's like, listen, this is happening all around the world. Climate change is real. This is a facet of climate change. But I think a lot of people didn't really accept that.
Yeah.
They were saying, listen, a lot of water culverts have been cemented over. A lot of valleys have been cemented over. A lot of ODZRs have been cemented over.
Yes.
This is going to lead to, more flooding in these urbanized areas, especially in such a small island like Malta. So, do let us know in the comments below. Do you think that yesterday's flooding was a result of climate change, or was it a result of infrastructural planning?
Yeah.
But on the topic of Kaale, moving on to the next story, I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if you've seen some images, but there's a lake, basically, in Kaale today. Images online showed people and animals frolicking in knee-deep water in Kaale. An Instagram page that's run by someone who owns two very popular dogs, at Whiskey and Bailey, maybe you follow them, shared some really cute and incredible photos of these dogs running around in very deep water. It barely looks like Malta, everything's very green, there's lots of trees, and there's a nice, beautiful lake as far as the eye can see. The thing is, it's Kaale, it's our national park. There's not supposed to be a lake there, it's supposed to be a land.
No, of course, but let's not forget Kaale is the remnants of what used to be an airstrip, and it kind of ties into our first story where we're talking about, construction and whether, safeguards in place to ensure that, flooding wouldn't occur in the, quote, extraordinary circumstances that we had yesterday. Although, climate change is in and of itself extraordinary, so we should be considering these things if we are moving forward with structural projects. Moving to our third story of the day, Maltese tenor Joseph Kaale took to Twitter and said it's time to reclaim liberties while live streaming from a packed airport in Charles de Gaulle, Paris. He lamented the situation that theatregoers and actors and other singers have to face while showcasing what was going on in Charles de Gaulle Airport with little to no social distancing between people who were queuing
Hi
at
friends,
the airport.
this is rare that I post a video here on Twitter, but I have to share this.
No, it's a very interesting video, and I think we're playing the video right now on your screen, so you can see a little bit of what Joseph Kaale was talking about. There's lots of people behind him. Yeah, no, it's quite crazy because Malta still has severe social distancing measures in place, and let's be clear,
all around the
two
world.
people
Then I'm at
just
Charles de
today
Gaulle. This is
in
now
Malta
trying to
died
go
from
to passport control.
COVID-19 issues,
We've been here
and numbers are
already, and
slowly rising. So, there is that happening, and we need to take that into account. However,
Absolutely.
I am not surprised that Joseph Kaale took this position. This is not the first time he's talked out against measures, especially in the theatre community. Let's be clear, this is his livelihood, and he's not the only one. A lot of theatre actors and producers have spoken about the double standards, the unfairness when it comes to how parties and larger events and weddings are approaching COVID-19 regulations and how theatre is approaching. It's crazy. I think just yesterday, Cirque du Soleil opened in Malta. I saw some photos, social distancing there. if you go to clubs, if you go to a lot of events, this kind of social distancing is not being held in such a high regard. So I do kind of understand where he's coming from. He's personally affected. At the same time, you have to be aware, we are still in the pandemic, whether we like it or not.
And we just had the announcement of another strain coming out of South Africa, right?
Very true,
with
very true.
the biggest change in the spike protein, which is the bit outside, since any of the variants we've had, which is worrying a lot of scientists. So we do have to keep that in mind.
No. So definitely let us know in the comments below. Do you think Malta should increase its COVID-19 regulations? Should it start removing and relaxing, as Joseph Kaale is saying, or should we keep steady as we're going? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on to the next story, a bit of a strange story that I'm sure will have more developments in the coming days. A corpse, the body of an unidentified person has been found floating in the sea off of Filfla in the south of Malta. Now, there's very few details. We don't know if it's a man or a woman, if the person's black or white. We don't know if it's a resident or a migrant or what it is. But the body was discovered around 10:40 a.m. this morning, and the AFM patrol boat immediately collected the body and took it to Hay Wharf in Floriana. So do stay tuned over the next coming days for more updates on this story.
And finally, our very last story of the day. The Lovin Social Media Awards powered by Dragonar Casino will be going live as of tomorrow. Starting at 10 a.m. we'll be launching 5 awards every single day, right up until Wednesday, where we'll be announcing our big final Lifetime Achievement Award. Big shout out to all our sponsors and all the nominees who'll be taking home gold over the next few days. Before we leave you guys tonight, we'll be playing the trailer for the Social Media Awards on your screens. Once again, this has been Matt, joined by my co-host Johnathan. Have a great evening and have a weekend full of lovin'.